Have you ever found yourself scratching your head, wondering why people act the way they do? Maybe you've got a friend who flares up over the tiniest things, or a coworker who's always jumping in to help, even when their plate's already overflowing. It's puzzling, right? We've all been there, trying to figure out what makes people tick, wishing we could peek inside their heads and understand what's really going on. Well, here's the good news. You don't need a crystal ball or a psychology degree to get it. You just need a little guidance, and that's exactly what we were diving into today with Patrick King's Read People Like a Book. Picture this as a personal coaching session, just you and me, unraveling the mysteries of human behavior together. By the time we're done, you'll have a set of tools to decode anyone, anywhere, anytime. Let's start with something we can all relate to: the struggle to understand others. It's a universal challenge, isn't it? You've probably had moments where someone says one thing, but you can't shake the feeling they mean something else entirely. Like when your buddy James says he's fine after a rough day, but his slumped shoulders and quiet tone tell a different story. Or when your colleague Sarah insists she doesn't care what people think, yet she's fuming for days after a bit of criticism. It's frustrating because we want to connect, to help, to get along, but without knowing what's driving them, we're just guessing in the dark. That's the problem Patrick King tackles head-on. People are tough to read because they reshaped by layers of experiences, emotions, and needs we don't always see. But here's the kicker. Those layers aren't random. They follow patterns, and once you learn to spot them, you can predict what someone might do next, understand their true intentions, and even figure out how to bridge the gap between you. So, how do you crack this code? It begins with recognizing that everyone's got a unique way of thinking and acting, like a personal blueprint drawn from their past, their emotional needs, and their psychological quirks. Think of it as their life story playing out in real time. Take your friend James, the one who gets mad at the drop of a hat. You might notice he flips out whenever someone points out a mistake, like when you casually mentioned his typo in a group chat, and he fired back with a defensive rant. At first, you might think he's just touchy, but dig a little deeper. Maybe he grew up in a home where every slip-up was a big deal, where he felt he had to be perfect to be loved. Now, that old wound pops up whenever he feels criticized, and his anger is like a shield, protecting him from feeling small again. Once you see that pattern, you can guess how he'll react next time. Say, if you correct him in a meeting. Instead of getting annoyed, you might soften your approach. Frame it as a suggestion, and watch how he calms down. Or consider Sarah, the coworker who's always pitching in. She's the first to volunteer for a project, even when she's swamped. Why? It could be that she ties her worth to how much she helps others. Maybe back in the day she only got praise when she put everyone else first, so now she's wired to keep giving, even at her own expense. Spot that pattern, and you can predict she'll say yes to the next favor, too. But you can also step in, encourage her to take a break, and show her she's valued just for being herself. These patterns aren't just quirks. They're clues to what drives people. And when you tune in, you're not just reacting, you're connecting. But it's not all about what they say or do on the surface. Sometimes the real story hides in what they don't say, their body language and facial expressions. Ever notice how words can lie, but bodies rarely do? James might insist he's okay, but if his eyes are downcast and his voice is flat, he's spilling the truth without even knowing it. Sarah might claim she's not upset about that snarky comment from the boss, but her clenched jaw and fidgety hands say otherwise. It's like their bodies are leaking secrets their mouths won't tell. Learning to read these signals is like getting a backstage pass to their emotions. When someone leans in, eyes bright and focused, you know they're hooked on what you're saying. But if they're slouched, glancing at their phone, they're probably checked out. And when the words and the body don't match, that's your red flag something's up. Here's a real-life example. Picture yourself chatting with your friend Emily. She's laughing off a bad date, saying it's no big deal, but her smile's tight, and she keeps picking at her nails. That mismatch tells you she's brushing it off to save face, but inside, she's rattled. You don't need to call her out, just notice it. Maybe shift the convo to something lighter and give her space to open up when she's ready. The trick is to watch for clusters of cues, not just one-off gestures. Crossed arms might mean someone's mad, or maybe they're just chilly. But if those arms are paired with a furrowed brow and a sharp tone, you've got a clearer picture. Over time, you'll get a feel for their baseline, how they act when they re-chill, and spot when something's off. Now, let's peel back another layer. What's driving all this behavior? At the heart of it, people are chasing two things: happiness or the escape from pain. It's like two sides of the same coin, flipping back and forth depending on the moment. Your buddy Mike might grind away at his job because he's gunning for a promotion, happiness, or because he's terrified of falling behind, avoiding pain. Your sister Lisa might dodge relationships because she's scared of heartbreak, avoiding pain, or because she's holding out for the perfect match, happiness. Same action, different fuel. Figuring out which one yes in the driver, yes seat can tell you a lot about what they'll do next. Take Mike and Lisa again. Mike's the guy who's always taking on extra shifts, pushing himself to the limit. You might assume he's just ambitious, but maybe he's running from the fear of not being good enough, something he picked up from a childhood where effort was everything. Lisa, though, she's the opposite. She'll turn down a date faster than you can blink. Could be she's been burned before, and now she's dodging anything that might sting again. Once you spot their motivations, you can predict their moves. Mike's not likely to slack off anytime soon, and Lisa's probably not jumping into a romance without a safety net. Ask yourself, what do they run toward? What do they avoid? That's your roadmap to their decisions. Here's where it gets practical. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Imagine a pyramid of what people crave, starting with the basics and climbing up to the big stuff. At the bottom, you've got survival. Food, water, a roof over your head. If your pal Tom's scrambling to pay rent, he's not sweating his social life. He's focused on keeping the lights on. Next up is safety. Stable work, health, security. Say Tom gets a steady gig, now he's all about locking that down, not rocking the boat. Then comes belonging. Friends, family, love. Once he's secure, he might start craving connection, hitting up group hangs more often. After that, it's esteem, respect, achievement. He'll want props for his hard work, maybe fishing for a good job from the boss. Finally, at the top, there's self-actualization, living his best life, chasing purpose. That's when he might ditch the 9-to-5 to start his dream project. Knowing where someone's at on this ladder helps you meet them where they are. If Tom's stuck on survival, don't push him to follow his passion. Help him find a gig first. If he's craving esteem, a little praise goes a long way. It's like handing them the right tool for the job they're reworking on right now. And it's not just about others. You can use this on yourself, too. Where are you on the pyramid? What's driving you today? It's a game changer when you see it in action. But people don't always show you the full picture. They've got shields up, protecting their egos from the stuff that hurts. These are defense mechanisms, little tricks the mind plays to dodge pain. Ever met someone like Alex who blames everyone else when things go wrong? That's projection. He's tossing his own insecurities onto others because admitting them stings too much. Or what about Rachel, who swears her breakup didn't faze her, even though she's clearly off? That's denial. She's shutting out the truth to keep her pride intact. Then there's Kevin, failing a test and claiming it was rigged. Rationalization. He'd rather rewrite the story than face the flop. Spotting these can unlock what someone's really wrestling with. Alex's blame game might mean he's terrified of being flawed. Rachel's denial could hide how much she's hurting. Kevin's excuses might mask a fear of not measuring up. Don't point it out. That'll just make them dig in harder. Instead, use it to guide your approach. With Alex, ease up on criticism and boost his confidence. For Rachel, give her time before digging into the breakup. Kevin? Maybe nudge him toward a study plan without rubbing in the failure. It's about seeing past the armor to the person underneath. Let's tie it all together. You've got the tools now. Patterns, body language, motivations, needs, defenses. It's like a decoder ring for human behavior. Next time James snaps or Sarah overextends, you'll see the why behind it. You'll catch the slumped shoulders, the tight smiles, the little tells that spill the truth. You'll know if they're chasing joy or fleeing pain, where they're at on life's ladder, and how they're guarding their heart. And here's the best part. This isn't just about them. As you get better at reading others, you'll start seeing yourself clearer too. Your own patterns, your own drivers, what's pushing you forward or holding you back. So, go out there and try it. Watch your boss in the next meeting. Does he lean in or check out? Listen to your partner at dinner. Are their words matching their vibe? Ask yourself what they're after, what they're dodging, and how you can show up for them. It's not about being a know-it-all, it's about being a feel-it-all, someone who gets people deeply and truly. And when you do, you'll find your relationships get richer, your conversations sharper, and your world a little less confusing. You've got this superpower now. Use it to connect, to grow, to make every moment count. Who knows? You might just surprise yourself with how well you can read the room and your own heart once you start paying attention.